It's time for a new way, a new set of ideas, a new leader, one you can trust, one who works for you, and above all, it's time for a new president.
As you can see from that YouTube video, Rand Paul's set to throw his hat in the ring officially tomorrow. But there are already questions about what kind of leader Senator Paul would be. Some critics claim he is moving away from his libertarian roots. Byron York is the chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor. Byron, libertarian, we know him to be, but analysts now say he's trying to downplay that. The Washington Post has this quote, Paul is a candidate who has turned fuzzy, having trimmed his positions and rhetoric so much that it's unclear what kind of Republican he will present himself as when he takes the stage. What do you think?
Well, I think there's no doubt that Rand Paul has realized he cannot run for the Republican presidential nomination as a libertarian. That's not going to work. I think maybe the Post criticism is a little overbroad, but it's certainly true in the key area of foreign policy. Rand Paul essentially formulated his campaign ideas at a time a few years ago in which there was really more concern about NSA snooping and spying on Americans than there was about terrorism. The rise of ISIS has been very tough on Rand Paul's foreign policy positions because he has taken, as opposed to a position of non-interventionism, he has, of course, supported American military actions against ISIS, and that has led to some confusion about where he stands on American intervention abroad.
But could that ultimately help him among Republicans who like some of his views but are uncomfortable with the isolationism?
Yeah, well, he's run a very smart campaign so far. He has really reached out to a lot of people, reached out to African Americans and other groups that are not traditional Republican constituencies, has reached out to Republican constituencies like evangelicals who might be a little concerned about some of his libertarian positions. So he has run a very smart campaign. But he's going to have to do a balancing act in this coming campaign because foreign policy is going to be a big issue with ISIS, with a Middle East in chaos, with this Iran deal. Rand Paul is going to have to formulate a position that will not alienate some of his supporters who want to see less American intervention abroad and still appeal to those traditional, strong defense Republican constituencies.
Yeah, you mentioned that he's courting some groups that are traditionally not Republican, but that same Washington Post article points out they interviewed some people, I think they were in the African American community, who had just heard him speak, and they said, we found him to be insincere. So is it going to come across well?
Well, that was Bob Woodson, an activist here in Washington who's very respected among Republicans. Obviously, Rand Paul didn't impress Bob Woodson very much. I do think among the whole Republican field, Rand Paul still gets a lot of credit for going and to meeting with groups, going to Detroit, making an effort. Showing up is really important in politics, and if Rand Paul keeps doing that, I do think he will benefit from that in the long run.
All right, we'll have to see. Byron York, thank you as always.
Thank you.